Perez, and I'll be reading from Mind in the Making. Think of a newborn, unable to understand or use a single word. In just a few short years, that same child could know thousands of words and use them to retell an experience, express an opinion, or negotiate with you, or crack a joke. That very same child could grow up to use words to plump up the mysteries of the world, discover something new, write epics, and inspire others to hope and dream. Our worlds have enormous power to wage war or bring about peace, to change an individual or an era for better or for worse. Yet we enter life knowing none, understanding none. The quest to understand the remarkable progress of human growth has inspired many of the researchers in this book. MIT neuroscientist Rebecca Sachs says that even as a child, she was awestruck by the question, how do you start with a molecule and end up with a person? Roberta Gogloff, a developmental psychologist at the University of Delaware, describes the same wonder in her quest to know how we would learn language. I wanted to understand how kids become the adults that they do. When a child is born, they're saying nothing. By the end of the first year of life, they're lucky to even say dada. Then by the end of the second year of life, many of them are speaking in sentences. How did that happen? Tracing the course of how that happens, how children learn to communicate, is a journey into the mind at work, says Kathy Harsh of the Temple of University. What technique did you use to figure this out? Did you try to sound it out? Did you try to look for patterns in letters? Were you able to figure out what I'm saying? If not, I'll tell you later in this chapter. My 8-month-old daughter, she still doesn't know how to speak yet, and for me to try to figure out what she wants and needs, it's like a game of charades. So with the sounds that she makes, facial expressions, it's really kind of hard to figure it out, but more or less you kind of have to use common sense in that aspect. Reason why I chose this passage is because communication is key. Communication with a kid is the most important thing, especially if you're a parent. For those of you that aren't, well, this is one good book for you guys to get. Communicating with your newborn or your 8-month-old or your 1-year-old, doesn't matter the age, you have to try to communicate. And the reason why I chose this passage in particular is because of what they say. Especially quoting Roberta Gogloff, I wanted to understand how kids become the adults that they do. When a child is born, they say nothing. And by the end of the first year of life, you're lucky if they say dada. That's very true. Most kids nowadays don't speak, and it's hard to communicate with them. But if you're lucky and you teach your children well and communications with sounding out words, then you'll be lucky enough for them to even speak.